Hi everyone, Bungo Bob here again. This morning we are off to Sedges fishery, just past Weston's Island on the way to sort of Bridgewater, so Somerset levels really, and it's the top 2 league again, or 3 metre league. It's the third round, so those of you who haven't tuned in before or seen the first match of the top 2 league, I do think I filmed the first one. We had £65 and there were 366s, so we ended up I think 6th or 7th. Then the last round I've drawn peg 36. I didn't bother showing it because there was nothing really to show. I think it's pointless if I got nothing to sort of show you or teach you really. It was very poor, and I've ended up I think 10th, sort of halfway. Now a few years ago when I fished this league before, I sort of I won. I think I went through to the final, winning all 3 matches. I won the final, really dominated it with meat. Then everybody sort of caught up a couple. I won the final, I think 2 years on the trot. Then everybody sort of caught up, and I've been going down there sort of doing the same with meat, and it hasn't really been right. So the day is going to be a little bit of a challenge. We're going to try quite a few different things. We really need to come, I think. We really need to come in the top 9 or 8 to get through to the final. I'm hoping we get through with that. I really want to do better than that, because it's pointless getting to the final and not having anything sorted. You're not going to do any good in the final, are you? So I've got some expanders today, a little bit of ground bait, some worms. I have brought meat. I've brought a couple of tins with me. I'm going to cut it on the bank today. I'm going to see where I draw, because I think there's quite a bit of weather coming in today, and it might get windy, and it sedges. It can tow. Now if it tows, the size of meat's going to be quite relevant, because when you throw that meat in, it will move off, and if you throw it sort of on your float, you won't be fishing over it. So you've got to sort of know where to throw it in. So if it's towing sort of right to left, I'll be throwing it to me right. Don't know how far to me right yet, depending on the tow and the blow and all the rest of it. So it should be quite an interesting match. It should take us about no more than about 40 minutes to get there. They do a lovely breakfast, so once again we'll be eating breakfast. Then after that we'll do the draw. We'll do the draw around 9 o'clock, and then we'll be fishing 10:15 till 3:15. So wish me luck. boys. So here we are, peg 22. Just dropped in a little bit of meat, just a few pieces, and then we're just going to fish a piece of meat over that. We've cut 7mm meat today. I've cut 7mm because the peg isn't as deep as I expected. It's only about 5 foot. The peg we had in the last leak was probably 6.5 foot. So quite a bit shallower than I expected here on peg 22. A nice start there. We got a flying skimmer. Amazing how they do that, isn't it? Got the usual big sedges nets, make our fish look much smaller than they are. But it's a good skimmer. It's a couple of pound plus. So as I said, just started on a bit of meat. Um, Weather-wise, it's going to get blowy later. Now, is that going to affect where I'm sat because it's so flat? It may tow. I don't know. I was going to go 6mm meat, but I just thought here at Sedges, if it starts towing, you can really be in trouble with that. Another nice skimmer on. So we've started well, haven't we? And it's important to start well in the first hour. You need to catch a few fish just to get the feeding in order and what you're doing, and get into a little bit of a rhythm, because it gets hard after the first hour. You know you're going to catch in those last couple of hours, or you should do. Um, so those middle hours are going to be difficult. So you want to try and sort of give yourself a bit of a game plan in the first hour, bit of a scouting mission, if you like. So I've just took that grey hydro off and the 014 bottom and gone to and just put the rig onto a more substantial elastic, an 016 bottom, and straight away I can see the skimmers don't worry whatsoever. So now if I hook a carp, I've got a much better chance, because the carp do get very big at Sedges, and if you hook one, you don't want to lose it. They're all hopping mad, aren't they, these skimmers today? So we've caught a few on the meat rod, on the sort of short line rig, if you like. And now what I've just done is gone on to the slightly longer line rig. So this is fishing past where we're feeding, really. Where the fish back off to, we can just flick a bait out there, catch a fish or two, and then come back to where we're feeding. We don't want to stay on that long line too long, otherwise you can end up making those fish back off further, and then they back off further down the shelf or out into the lake, and you're done for. Then you won't reach them at all. So I sort of go off the back, keep feeding on the end of the 3 meters of pole, and you can get one or two fish come back at the shelf up the top of the feed whilst you're fishing past it, but you don't want to stay past it too long, or I don't think you do anyway. So that's what I'm doing, fishing off the back. You can probably see then how far away the float was from the pole tip compared to the last. You can see the long line now, can't you? Not massively long, but you're allowed to use line as long as the 3 meter Topkit, or in my case, top 2 and a short 4, which gives me, I think, 2.95 meters. I thought I'd start on the meat, and then probably end up going to worms and expanders, etc. But thus far I haven't had to, which is really good news. I love fishing the meat down here, but the last couple of matches in this league, I've struggled with it a little bit. Already there, look, I can see the size of the skimmers dropped. Smaller fish, that. They go weird, don't they? How many you had all together in there? Yeah. I think you go out on at one stage, but here we go. I've had half a dozen, mate, all at £2. You can see it's very flat where we are as well, isn't it? Not a ripple at all. So back on the shorter line, as you can see there now. Um, and we're in again, look, they have come in and we've got one or two come up over the feed again, which is great news. So first hour has probably gone by because we've cut out a bit of time, but we've had a steady first hour, to be honest. We've probably had about £15 of skimmers, which I'm over the moon with, really. £15 in the first hour. All on the meat as well, which is really, really good news. Just starting the second hour and hooked the carp. I mean, that's a very good start. If we can land this, it'll put us in really good stead. Quite important that there, like you see me there, feeding whilst you're playing that fish. Very important to get a bit more sound hitting the water whilst you're playing the fish. You don't want them all to drift off when you're playing a fish. And as I've always said, no rush. Especially when you're fishing this close to yourself. That's a nice bonus. This early, really nice. It's about £8 that one. So the start of the second hour was really good, and we had that carp, and we had that skimmer, and then it went really, really quiet. I've cut a lot of the second hour out. It just sort of, as I expected, really went off. We're still catching very odd fish, but we're being quite methodical. We know how much we want to be feeding now. We're fishing that short line where the feed's going in, trying to catch 1, 2 fish. We're having to wait a long time for them. And then we go long and just sort of nip 1 or 2 off the back, and then and back short again, or under the top kit, as it were. But I don't mind that at all. We're catching, as long as you can keep some fish feeding in the peg, it's always got the chance of bringing better fish in. Small fish feeding attract better fish. Couple of bonuses we've had now. As you can see, we've had a bit of weather come in. The wind's got up, and typically it is off me back. It's a bit sporadic, to be honest, at the moment. But you can sort of see it across the other side of the lake there. Um, and it's gone quiet as skimmers. I mean, we've been waiting, I've cut out a lot of footage and we've been waiting for bites for quite a long time. And obviously, I've just hooked another carp now, and that's why we're short of skimmers now. We've got one or two carp move in. We are having to wait quite a while for them, but they're well worth waiting for. So, all going well thus far. Still feeding that little bit of meat. As you can see, nothing fancy. Really standard, what we always fish. I think I'm fishing a 4x14 Malman Rube wire, because if it does start to tow or the wind was on us, I want to be able to have some control on the rig. Um, so 4x14 wire rube, 2.0 rig line, 016 hook length, 16 B911, Kamazan B911, same as we always do with our meat. Not an extra strong, just a standard one. And the ever reliable Keepnets Direct Green elastic, hollow. Can't get off of the stuff. Can't get off that hollow at all. Tried to use the hybrids for a little while, but just kept going back to it. It's just what you know, isn't it? But I wouldn't have minded being on that wind, but with the weather that's come in with it now, I'm quite glad to have it off my back. If I'm honest, it's a bit more comfortable, isn't it? We all like to be quite comfortable when we're fishing. Putting up a spirited fight, this one. They're not always necessarily big. They're just mostly commons on this lake as well, actually. I think I've hooked this on the longer line as well. So with the line being as long as the 3 meters as well, I stand, because that way when I use the pull bung and gather some elastic in, I can still have quite a bit left out. Or else you can, if you stay sat down, you can suddenly find yourself with very little elastic left out, and you're putting too much pressure on the hook length. There's a nice fish. Surprise, surprise! You catch the carp and get them out of there, and the skimmers come back, don't they? So we're about 3.5 hours in the match now. I'm quite happy with how it's gone at the moment. Another lively skimmer. But the rigs we got set up, we have got an edge rig as well, but we never really try it. It just never really felt right. Um, and the matches I fished down here in the past down the edges is seldom you ever catch that. I think in the 4 years, I missed this league for the last 2 or 3 years, as I said before, and I've come back to it this year. Really enjoying it. It's quite different, isn't it? Top Kit League, really, really different. And the few years I did fish it, the 4 years I fished it in a trot, going back a few years, I think I could count the amount of fish I caught down the edge on one hand. To be honest, they're very few and far between, unless you're in a corner or you've got an empty peg, which happens sometimes. Because unfortunately, same as anywhere, isn't it? You get people not doing very well, don't bother to turn up. I think we had two today. Actually, there was two empty pegs, and I know it was a sellout. So, and they were good pegs as well. Plus, they leave others with such an advantage. But that's modern match fishing, unfortunately. It's just the way it is, isn't it? The match is paid for as well. You pay for the last match on the first match. So, but people do have legitimate reasons not to be here as well sometimes. I think it's always a good thing to have people fill in for you, to be allowed to do that in leagues, because I think it keeps leagues full. But not everywhere agrees with it and allows it. So it is what it is. And this is a nice size fish, isn't it? So we are waiting on the bites quite a bit. It's not quite the bagging it might look, mind, but we are catching carp, so really enjoying it. But as I say, we are waiting on the bites, and then just out the blue, the float absolutely dives under. We are quickly approaching what I thought was the end of the match. That's a little story in itself. If you remember at the start of this video, when I was sat outside my house in the van, we just loaded all the kit and we were ready for the off. I said we'd be fishing from 10:15 to 3:15, which was what I thought we were going to do. Um, but it's not. It's till 4:15. It's a 6-hour match, and it has been all the way through the league. So, what on earth I was thinking, I don't know. I'm getting worse, everybody. I really am. But so we stopped feeding it sort of 10 minutes before the end, or what I thought was the end. Um, and the peg never really came back, to be honest. Not in the last hour, but we're still catching a few of them. We're not quite at that the end of the 5th hour yet, but yeah, that cost me a little bit. But it's fishing well. You'd never think you'd catch like this, would you, on a top kit? But when everybody's fishing the same and those fish want to feed, they come in, don't they? Oh, the rain stopped, brightened up a little bit now, which is nice. Got some ground bait there in the ground bait bowl. You can probably see on the grass there to my right. Never used it. Never put any in at all. Never needed it. Which was, yeah, really good. I think at this stage, looking around from the ones I can see, I think I'm probably right up there, probably leading the match. I wasn't too worried about it. I just wanted to figure out something for if we got in the final, and obviously I wanted to get into the final. So as I said at the start, we really needed to be sort of top 8, I think, to just be sure of a place. Um, and that would get us in the top 10 overall to over the 3 matches to get us into that 20 peg final. And I think with what we've caught already today, I think I'm sort of sat there quite comfortably thinking, yeah, we're top 8 already, I think. So this fish was sort of not far off of the end of what I thought was the end of the match, that 5th hour. So we had our rig to fish just under the top kit, as you've seen, which we've hooked this one on now. We're right over the feed, and then we got our longer one, which is past the feed. Then we got an edge, and we also got a shallow one just in case, because sometimes you can catch shallow even that close. Incredibly enough, um, if it's that sort of day, it certainly isn't today. In fact, I was really pleased with how I was feeding the meat at that depth, and I didn't really foul hook a carp. Another nice wayer, isn't it? So we're kind of in the last throws of the match now. I cut out quite a bit of footage because, like I say, last hour plus I really struggled. So it's been a steady, enjoyable day, really. It's been one of those where I've been able to sort of drip feed meat, as you've probably seen, um, quite steadily throughout the match. I've used 2 cans. I did have a third one ready, but I only used the two. But I did use the full 2 cans. Um, just drip feeding it 5, 6 pieces a time, really, and just keeping that little a full meat going down through the water, and that's what attracts the fish, isn't it? As I say, I had ground bait, micros, and everything else there if I required them. I didn't. I always prefer, if I can fish and catch for meat, to just feed meat, and I don't put on the hook anything different than what I'm throwing in. Um, and as you've seen there, as soon as we hook one, we threw meat in, and we've mentioned that time and time again, I know, but I think it's something that uh, is really quite critical. As soon as you hook a fish, you must always chuck some in straight afterwards. So as I was saying earlier, we messed up our times a little bit. I did think we were finished, and which stopped me feeding a little bit before I should have. Sort of thinking I could clear the peg out, catch what was in there a bit quicker by having less sort of feed there for the fish to pick through, and find my hook bait quicker, if you like. And just that little stopping of that feeding for 10, 12 minutes, um, and stop flicking a little bit in, just made those fish drift off. We did catch a carp and a skimmer in the last hour, but it just wasn't quite right. Perhaps I should have introduced. You'll see at the end here I have a little summary, so do stay tuned for the summary. It's something we're going to start doing at the end of the videos now, so we can sort of um, look and sort of what we've learnt, really. And maybe I should have started introducing a little bit of ground bait or a little bit of micros in that last hour or so. Just, it wouldn't hurt. But I kept thinking they'd come back because we had such a good run with the meat, but it never really happened, which is a bit of a shame because it should have been the sort of hottest time of the match, really. Um, so it's nice though to know that we caught what we have, and you'll see in a minute what we have caught, and to know that there was room for improvement. There's always room for improvement, no matter how well you think you've done. Uh, so that's good. It's something we can have a little think about, and something we can take to the final as well. I have got some few ideas. I don't want to give too much of that away because, as you'll see in a minute, we do get through to the final, and I want to keep a couple of edges for that. But I'll certainly be giving them all away, and we'll be filming that final as well. Really looking forward to it. I think I ended up. I've had 8 carp, I think, or 8 or 9 carp, and over 40 pound of skimmers. So not a bad day's fishing, is it, everybody? Very nice. Okay, so we just finished the match. We've packed away, thrown it all in the van. We've had a cup of tea, and I managed £106, and that was fourth in the match. So I was really pleased with that. The top three was 112, 118, and 136, which was a standout weight, to be honest, and that was in peg 40 in the corner. He's a good old boy who was sort of in there as well. He catches some fish, so fair play to him. But we won our side of the lake, which meant we won the section, which was great. And £41 of our £106 was skimmers, so we got second overall in the silvers as well. So we sort of double bubbled, so that was nice. But the main thing is we were fourth overall, so we've now qualified for the final, which is great. I felt I learned a little bit today as well, which was really important. I didn't want to go through into the final just sort of, you know, willy-nilly with no idea really. So I do feel we learnt a little bit today. Lost my way a little bit in the peg, as you've probably seen in the video, or I've said, the last sort of hour and a half, and I'm going to have a little think about that, exactly what it is we could have done. The wind was against us, admittedly, and people did slow around me, but I just felt I've had like one carp and one skimmer in the last hour and a half, which is a quarter of the match, isn't it? So the potential was there to win it. So I'm going to have a little think about that one. Thanks ever so much for watching, everybody. Always overwhelmed with all the support. Thank you. See you again.